and welcome back to Tabletop and Beyond, our fellow Beyonders. We are so happy to have you with us today. We have with us Mr. Dan Pomeroy. Welcome to the show, sir. And we have return guest, Ali. You're in an exclusive club of repeat attendees here. So we're happy to have you, Ali, with the board game. Listen, I'm going to get your Instagram wrong. It's the board
it's Gamer Babe.
The Gamer Babe. Thank you.
Yeah. Is it the Gamer Babe or just Gamer Babe?
No, it is. It's the _gamer _babe. I'd like to get rid of the underscore, but
Yeah.
You're
works. Locked in. You're locked once you have a following, you're locked in forever.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ali, you joined us probably like 6 months ago, I think, to talk about board games.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're like, that was amazing. Let's have her back to talk about more board games. Because as I said before the show, you're playing more board games than I am right now. So I think you're our resident expert at this point, So, but we're excited to have you on here. Look at all those wonderful games you have behind you. All the games that I have played or want to play are right there behind you. So we're excited to talk about some of those today. But of course, before we begin, let's get with our Geek Week. So Dan, how was your Geek Week?
Well, I haven't been on the show for a long, long time. Everybody's like, yeah, we noticed it was great. A few weeks ago, I got one of my nerd tickets punched when I went to a Comic-Con style convention here in DC called Awesome Con, where you stand in line to get autographs, and they have a huge dealer hall, very large dealer hall. They have, lots of cosplay and Star Wars droid makers and all kinds of stuff. They had a small, pretty small gaming area. And they mixed it with the video game area, which meant it was super loud, but it was it's much more generic geek experience. And my middle kid wanted to go because I took my younger kid to KublaCon in San Francisco, and she's like, I get to go to a con too. And it really was the one she wanted to go to because she's not. She needed something. There's a lot of artists and just general geekery that she really enjoyed. So that was one thing I'd never done before. I'd never done a Comic-Con style con. I'd only done gamer cons, and so now I've done that.
Was it free to get in, or did you need to buy a badge?
No, it's $60-$75 depending on how many days you buy. And we're talking the DC Convention Center, massive space. I mean. There was easily 30,000-40,000 people there. It's a real thing, and they do it twice a year, I think. They try to do it twice a year, but it's good times. And if you're into cosplay and you need a place to show off, those kind of conventions are right up the old alley. So I thought it was cool. They had Elijah Wood, who played Frodo, and Andy Serkis, who played Gollum, and Sean Astin, who played Samwise. I did not. Sorry. Ooh.
Anyway, for later.
Preview. So anyway, long story short, I did it as an experience. Oh my gosh, they had the lightsaber booths. I spent a lot of time. I didn't spend. It was like the day before Father's Day. You have no idea how much self-control it took not to spend $400 or $500 on a very nice lightsaber. I picked out like 4 of them, all that price range. And I had the lightsaber sweats. It's like, I'm getting the sweats. I'm just going to back away slowly. So anyway, I didn't do it. Dropped all kinds of hints. And my family was like, we got you a card for Father's Day. I was like, thanks for the card.
Here's a tie.
I wish I would have gotten a tie. They looked at me and said, you should just buy something for yourself. So I've been abusing Amazon ever since. The other thing on Warcry, on my Geek Week, is I've been assembling Warcry, Warbands, and Legion. I've been doing assembly. I'm working on 3 Warbands for Warcry, and basically the equivalent of a second Imperial Army for Legion. And I got into pivoting, articulating motions on minis. So I had my ATST that I built with the Blizzard box, and I got him standing up real high, and he would fit on the shelf. So I'm like, I guess I'm going to have to cut his head off and put 2 little rare earth magnets. So now he pivots, and his gun point goes up and down, and he can shoot it, which is so nerdy. I had so much fun that I cut a gun off of another vehicle and epoxied in rare earth magnets to have a pivoting turret. There was nothing more boring than a turret that was only pointed one way, glued down. So I got into it. It's fun. I've done it, but I made a lot of mess. I made a lot of epoxy mess. I'm not good at it.
So the official term for that, Dan, is called kit bashing.
Kit bashing? I thought kit bashing is when you take like 2 or 3 kits and you glue something together.
Did you just not take a gun from another kit and put it onto that kit?
No. I didn't do that yet.
What
I did is I took a speeder truck that has a turret on top, and it was already done and painted and glued. And I got out an X-Acto knife and I cut that gun off. And I drilled into it with my Ryobi drill to glue in magnets. I got real nerdy.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're just modding. That's what
I'm modding. I'm modding. Yeah. Not kit bashing. Not yet.
Almost not yet. Yeah.
Yeah. So we usually only do 2 things for Geek Week. I've got a third one. I usually am so boring in my video gaming, but a couple Christmases ago, I got the remastered Mass Effect episodes 1, 2, and 3, and I had a reason to take a sick day from work, and I sat down and I poured hours into Mass Effect 1. It holds up so well. It really holds up. And I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to live my life without finishing all 3 of these and doing every side quest?
How do you have a second sick day in a row? So
I know. It's like something's coming on. I got something coming on. It's a summer cold.
This feels like a week-long thing too.
Yeah. I got to move the Xbox into the bedroom. I got to take it upstairs, and I need liquids, and leave me alone. But no,
listen, it's gonna get worse once you move into Mass Effect 2, which is like the best one of the series, right? So
I know.
Yeah, it's a great series for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, awesome. I did 3 Geek Weeks. I apologize. So
it's all good.
I will hand it back to you, Justin.
Allie, how was your Geek Week?
I'm pretty I was like, did I do anything geeky? But I actually did. So my youngest son just turned 8, and he's obsessed with Transformers. So we did a Transformers themed birthday party, and last minute I was like, we got to do something with Transformers. So I found online someone was giving away their moving boxes, and so when he woke up in the morning, we had built 2 giant Transformers in our front room made out of boxes. I was pretty proud of it, that I was like, how do I keep sharing this? I am so proud of it. And it blew his mind. And it wasn't painted. They were just boxes. And so we utilized it later in his birthday party. We had the kids race to build the Transformers again. Nice. And we're talking 8-year-olds. And I mean, it was touching my ceiling at my house. It was amazing. I'm super proud of that. And I was like, all of my friends were like, Mom award for you. I'm like, thank you. Well, I was super stoked with that one. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah, I was proud of that. My other thing is I just started reading Red Rising.
So good.
We played the game a few weeks ago. And so it was I'm gonna try it, and I'm not even halfway through it, but I'm I know these characters from the game.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I'm super excited to keep going with it and finishing it. So,
which is so funny because normally it's you read the book and then they come out with the game with the IP. So then all the fans of the book are let me get the thing. It doesn't normally happen in reverse, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that book and that series is really good. I really, 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 really liked it. It sucked me in. Somebody was like, so what is it? I'm like, it's like if Harry Potter sort of meets Hunger Games sort of meets Ender's Game.
That's exactly how my husband described it today, because he was waiting for me to get into it, and he was like, so if I could describe it, that was exactly it. That was it. And I was like, you're right.
Yeah, because they, you got this whole thing where they end up going on to the arena, and it's Hunger Games style, but there's space magic going on too, and it's really it's a great series. It's a super good series. So
I'm excited.
One of my favorites. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I literally got a notification the other day that Amazon Kindle will send me hey, people are getting interested in this book again. And I looked at it and it was Red Rising, and it was on sale on Kindle for $4.99, which is a crazy good deal. Yeah. So if people have not yet read it, I would recommend picking it up because it's so good.
Yeah.
So
New York Times bestseller.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely. So that actually sort of brings me to my Geek Week, which is I'm reading a book right now. It's the last of the series. It's called Waybound, but it's the 12th book in the Cradle series. Now, this guy, Will White, he is a prolific writer. he may put out as much stuff as Brandon Sanderson. If you guys read Brandon Sanderson stuff, Brandon Sanderson puts out like several books a year, as he's working on his like big giant books, right? This guy puts out as many, though they're not nearly as long. So, maybe this Waybound book is maybe, I don't know. I have it on my Kindle, but it's probably like in the order of magnitude of like 300 pages or something like that. It's not like an 800-page tome that Brandon Sanderson writes, right? And so it's like 300 pages, which is a good quick read. It's like action-packed. It sucks you in. The first book is called Unsouled. It's like UNSOULED, right? Like you don't have a soul. And that's part of the story is this kid who doesn't feel like he has powers that everybody else does. And the premise of the story is that this world that they're on, they have these people, like everybody is what's called a sacred artist. And so it's this infusion of like, Far Eastern kind of mythology of like Kung Fu style stuff mixed with Pokemon sort of. And like everybody can do these like Kung Fu techniques, but they're really like magic techniques. And you can kind of, you can follow the way of the fox, or you can follow the way of the, the sword, or you can follow the way of the bow or something like that. And so you kind of go specialized in them. And this kid didn't have any of it until he realized that he actually did. And then he's like the eternal optimist. And I love these kinds of stories, right? Like I mentioned Ender's Game before. Like he's an eternal optimist. Like he's always thinking like, I can always do this, like we're always going to try and find the creative way to solve problems. Brandon Sanderson's characters, for the most part, are like the eternal optimists. And those characters really resonate with me. So if you're looking for a really fun, usually page turner read, I would recommend this author, Will White, and his book Unsouled is the first one, and it's the Cradle series, and there's 12 books in them, and they're all really, really good. So you should totally check them out. Right here you can see there's 6,666 ratings, and it's like 4.9 stars, which is pretty impressive. So yeah, so that was my first Geek Week, and then my second one. What did I put down for my second one? Now I'm questioning myself. Oh yes, I put together. I finalized this last week the Nova Open tournament that we have coming up at the end of August, early September. It's a gaming tournament. And I finalized the Warcry, which is a Games Workshop skirmish game with miniatures. I finished the tournament pack for that and put it out. And I thought I was done. I thought it looked really good, but then I got some feedback from some people that I trust when it comes to events and stuff like that. And it looks like I need to make some adjustments. So even though I put it out, I thought it was final, and it wasn't so final. So we're going to make some adjustments here in the next little bit and put it out. It looks like I just need to replace one mission with another one. So. But
well, I'm excited. I'm playing in that tournament.
Yeah.
And it's my first Warcry tournament. So you have to put your thumb on the scale and give me some wins, looking for some nice
points, some battle points.
We need some graft and corruption here. Oh, he got in because he's friends with Justin. They're in cahoots.
That's right. Yeah. So it's going to be fun. We have, as far as events coming up, Jason and I, we're going to Gen Con at the beginning of August, which we're really excited about. We're going to be playing quite a few board games there. One of which I'm really excited to play. It's called Night's Fall. I don't know if you've played that one, Allie. Yeah, okay. Yeah. That smile tells me I'm excited to play it.
Okay, I know that one. I think it might be behind me.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like I said, I know it's somewhere up here. Yeah. It's a good one.
Yeah. And there's some other ones. The Night's Fall is the one that I'm really excited about. But we got a lot of other ones that we're going to be playing that are really exciting. And then about a month after that is when the Nova Open convention is. Now the Nova Open's really just like a miniature wargaming. They do have some board games there, but it's really focused on wargaming and tournaments and stuff like that. So a little bit different kind of tournament, but I love them all. So there's different focuses on different one. So.
And Nova Open got designated as a Worlds qualifier tournament for X-Wing, Legion, and Armada. So
nice.
I moved my schedule around a little bit. So I'll be competing in the Grand T for Warcry and for Legion, and I expect to come in last in both.
It'll be fun, though. You're going to have a good time.
There's going to be blood on the polyurethane mat. That's all there is to say about that. It'll be great.
Yeah, you're gonna have a good time. You're gonna have time. Well, that's all. Yeah, that's all that we have for our Geek Week. It sounds like. So I think that brings us to the news.
Do it. Welcome to Tabletop and Beyond News. Sorry.
High production, people.
There's a broadcaster inside of me that just really wants to be a news nerd so bad. You have no idea. Okay. Our first news item is the finalists for the 2023 Diana Jones Award were announced this week. The Diana Jones Award are part of the Gen Con extravaganza. Usually right before Gen Con, they will have an award ceremony. The judges are a very select panel of folks. This is not the Emmy Awards are more democratic. They're like the People's Choice Award where you can go in and you can vote. But the Diana Jones Award is something that's been going for a long, long time, and it's a prestigious award at Gen Con and in the gaming industry. The nominees are Linda Kodega, journalist focusing on tabletop gaming for IO9 and Gizmodo. I believe she was the one who broke a lot of the news regarding the Wizards of the Coast open gaming license replacement that created such a fan outcry and really kind of rocked Hasbro. So that's real journalism there. A few others. Coyote and Crow, role-playing game by Connor Alexander. Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel, published by Wizards of the Coast. So there's even mainstream products that are nominated. Rosenstrasse, a role-playing game by Moira Turkington and Jessica Hammer, published by Unruly Games. And Cole, I'm going to mispronounce that German last name. I apologize. It looks like Worley. Game designer, creative director at Leader Games, and co-founder of Whirligig Games. So usually the Diana Jones Award is one of those areas you can see what all the super cool industry people are looking at. This is the RPGs industry way of kind of honoring itself. So kind of like you watch the Oscars and then you go watch those movies. It's like a commercial. The Diana Jones Award is very similar. So for those who are interested, they can go to the Diana Jones website, which is, I'm going to say you have it up on the screen, but for our audio listeners, it is DianaJonesAward.org, DianaJonesAward.org, if you're interested and want to learn more. And you can learn about the history of the award. Diana Jones is short for Indiana Jones. Once upon a time, TSR had a license to make an Indiana Jones role-playing game, and they lost it, and they had to burn all the copies of their Indiana Jones role-playing game, and they took the pieces of the last copy that they burned, and it said Diana Jones. The I and the N were burned off, and then they encased it into a trophy, and this is a trophy.
That's amazing.
The awardee gets the trophy every year, so it's one of those cool little nerdy RPG industry insider things. But you'll get an idea kind of where the tastemakers are what they're thinking about. So that's the Diana Jones Award. Pretty cool.
Nice.
All right, you want to take the second one?
Yeah, so I'm going to pull this up right here. This is straight out of my email that I got, hot off the press, that happened 2 days ago, hot off the press. But there's new titles for Call of Cthulhu and RuneQuest that are coming out in October. So these are some of our favorite role-playing games that we have played. What is awesome about this Call of Cthulhu one that came out, so you can see that it's coming out in October 2023, but this is called Alone Against the Static. So what this is a modern era scenario designed for one player. It's a solo play game that you can play. And they describe it as a Call of Cthulhu story of grief, isolation, relationships, and heartbreak. So I feel like it might be The Last of Us that you can play, right? Like something like that. But the description that they give, they say Alex and Charlie believe that a secluded weekend getaway in the Dakota Black Hills is just what they need to reinvigorate their marriage. But older and darker things and broken hearts exist in the forgotten places of the world. So, Chaosium is one of the few publishers that I have seen that actively promote solo RPG games that are dedicated solo RPG, right? Like some RPG games have put out rules where you can do solo play, but these are actual solo adventures, and I can tell you firsthand that they are so much fun. They play like a choose your own adventure books that you used to play. That you used to read, like you'd read a certain page and be like, go to page 111. And you're like, oh, you fell off a cliff. Like, dang it. Go back. Let's choose a different one, and that's kind of how these games play as well. Like you make a certain decision. You have to roll your dice. If you pass the roll, then you go to a certain number. If you fail the roll, then you go to a certain number. And they're all just a lot of fun. And you really get sucked into the story. So I highly recommend that. The other thing that's coming out is the Cults of RuneQuest. The Cults of RuneQuest mythology. So this is sort of following in the footsteps of the Cults of Cthulhu that came out last year that actually came out this year, that our artist friend John Sumrow did all of the art for. Now, Cults of RuneQuest is very similar. It's a source book that basically does all the backstories of a lot of the mythology and myths that happen in Glorantha. And if you've ever played RuneQuest, then you'll know that myths and mythology are super important to the game. They're really woven into the fabric, and that determines sort of a lot of your magic power that you use, the runes that you end up using that give you power. So this gives a lot of real good backstory as part of that. So very interesting. Also coming out in October 2023. So keep your eyes open for these as we get closer. So yeah, very exciting there.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Justin.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Okay, I think that's it for the news then. Is it, Dan?
We could keep going for hours and we would lose all of our listeners. So we will stop it here while there's a few of us left.
That's right. So, and plus, we didn't bring Allie on for nothing. So obviously, we've got a lot of good stuff coming up. One of the things, Allie, we kind of want to do, and I'm going to call this a little mini segment in the show. We're going to do some board game reviews by Allie here, and we're not asking for anything super formal here, but we know that you've been playing some board games recently, so we just wanted to talk to you about what board games you played and what you thought of them.
Okay.
Sorry about that. All right, so let's talk about some of the board games you've been playing recently.
So the first one we started playing is Star Wars deck building game. And this one is a 2-player game, but I've been told that you can buy a second set and play 4-way. I've been told in a comment. I haven't done that, but I thought that was kind of cool that you could expand it. But it's basically like the dark side versus the Jedi side, But I had the first time I played it, my husband got Darth Vader at the go, and it creamed me right away to where I was like, I don't like this game. I was so frustrated. I was like, that's not fair. He didn't have to buy the card. He just earned it based off of one of the base cards he had. And I was like, I'm done. I don't like it. So I played it more times and, now it's better and I appreciate it more. But that first time I was like, are you kidding me? So, but it's just a fun, good versus evil, and you collect cards and it's cool to see the different characters that come out and how do they utilize them. And it's a fun one.
How long does it take to learn how to play?
Not very long at all. If you're comfortable and familiar with deck building, like the mechanics of it, it's super easy to pick up on. So I don't think it's too hard to learn or too hard to pick up on.
That's great.
Now,
cool.
the community has given this on Board Game Geek that we have up on the screen right now. The community's given this an 8.0 out of 10. Do you agree with that rating? Do you think it's an
That's like
8.0?
one of the highest that I've actually
It's
seen
pretty
for a
high.
game. And I'm like, are they biased a little bit? I mean, like Star
Is
Wars.
it the
No,
Star
it
Wars? Yeah.
actually, it is really like, even though I got creamed the first time, I still came back to it.
Mhm.
I still think it's a game that you can come back to. And I like it may be all the same cards, but it's a pretty stacked deck that I don't think you'll be getting the same hands going each time. And there are certain cards that are like if it's a dark card, you can attack it. If you know, there's like neutral cards that can go to either side. Like it's just a fun, if you're a Star Wars nerd or not, I think it's still very entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, I just pulled up a picture from, again, Board Game Geek here, where it shows sort of the layout of the game, and it looks pretty fun. For those who have played Fantasy Flight games, these cards look very familiar. I mean, these look like Legion cards. They look like X-Wing cards, right? Right, Dan? I mean, they look like the what is that? What's the other? Not Legion. Imperial Assault. Yeah.
Because they have the license, they have access to a gigantic library of custom art that FFG and Asmodee, they have an art library that's just pretty much to die for. In the old days when Wizards of the Coast had the library, everything was still shots off the films or sketches by Ralph McQuarrie, and that was it. Now we have these, beautiful custom artwork, pieces of artwork, and you really get a sense of it. It feels like Star Wars, in the right way. Decipher had the first card game license was the collectible card game in 1995, 96 is when that one came out, and literally there's a Tupperware container under my feet right now that I use as kind of an ottoman full of Magic the Gathering and Star Wars and Star Trek cards. So I have a soft spot for these kind of games, and I get the Star Wars sweats. I'm like, oh, it's something Star Wars. Do I need to buy that? Allie thinks I should get it. Maybe I should. Maybe I should get it. She recommends it. She's
yeah.
good.
Well, do you recommend this to like everybody or just like Star Wars fans?
I do.
Or what?
No, I think it's good for anyone. I think that if you're wanting to show the mechanics of a deck building game, this would be a fun one to introduce, and it may get you throw the Star Wars angle in there as well.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to oversell your recommendation.
No, you're fine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
How much was it? Do you know? I probably can find this out.
I don't remember.
Right now,
$36.48 on Amazon.
We got it at our local game store here in town, and
yeah.
Money's
no price at a local game store.
True.
Right?
Yeah, don't go to the local game store and look for that Amazon price. Support the local game store.
Yeah.
Support the local game store.
But just to give you an idea, it does look like it's about $37 on Amazon. So that's a decent price for a game that it has a lot of replayability, right?
Yeah. And the last time Allie was on the podcast, I bought board games she recommended. They're on my shelf right now.
It's a fact.
That's why we have to span it out so that you can recover from it.
I'm never going to financially recover from this podcast.
That's right. I got to tell you, before we go to your next one, I have a thing called the shrink wrap wall of shame. So on my, if it's a game I haven't played yet, I leave it in the shrink wrap, and the shrink wrap shames me into saying, you bought me and you haven't played me once yet. You haven't even pulled off the shrink wrap. So I have about 7 games right now that are shrink wrapped, and I'm leaving it on there until I find a time to play.
That's actually really smart, because you do open the games because you're like, I just want to see the components in it, but no, that's actually, I have to suggest that. I don't know who would go over well, but I like that idea.
And so when I want to buy something, my wife's like, so what have you not opened on your shelf?
That's awesome.
You're like, everything.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So you play Star Wars deck building game. The next one I'm going to make you pronounce, Allie.
Oh my gosh. I already said this. So it's the Quacks of Quedlinburg. I'm hoping that's how you say it. That's how it looks like you say it.
I agree.
This is a press your luck game.
Okay.
And that's what I think I love most about it, is that you really are like deciding your fate. You basically have tokens and create a potion, and you pull tokens out of the bag, and you can only pull so many I think it's up to 7. And if you pull over at 7, your potion explodes and you lose benefits of part of the game. So like you can get gems at the end of each round, and I don't know. So it's just one of those that it's like, do I want to go one more? Because the further you go on your board, the more benefit it is for you. The more money you can spend on better tokens, you get gems. Like there's just benefits of getting further on the board. So it's just a really fun, like, do I push my luck? Do I not push my luck type game?
Yeah, looks like the pretty cool components. Or do you get these individual like sort of book things that like are your I guess your potion book, right?
Yeah, so they're added benefits. So like some of them you get at the beginning of the round, and some of them are like happening while you draw. So if you draw like an orange one and you had a green one right before it, that benefits you, and you can like pull an added token out without it hurting you. You know, so there's like some benefits that you can purchase at the beginning, some that happen at the end. You know, it's just a very vibrant, fun push your luck game.
And this is your kind of victory point tracker right here. This
that's your play board.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So like as you are drawing, if you draw 1, you would lay it down 1 step down. If you draw 2, you'd skip a space and put your 2 down. And you just keep drawing until you hit 5, 6, 7 and decide if you want to, press your luck on it. Yeah.
How so it says that this is a 1.95 out of 5 complexity.
It is really easy. I like the easier ones.
Yeah.
It's 7.8 on there. Like it's still good, but it's
yeah. So you could pick this. It says, like community says that 8 and above, this is like a good game. You have, I can't remember if you said you have an 8-year-old.
You have an 8-year-old. He hasn't played this one yet.
Okay.
I think the only thing he may struggle with is when you have to pull out and say, like, you draw 3, instead of just laying it down, you have to count out 3 spaces and then lay your token down. So that may be the only thing. But I think once you get the hang of it and they like understand that concept, then I think it's better. So
nice.
Like this one was fun because I went to our local game store and I took a picture of like 5 different games and was like, which one should I buy? Like, I'm here now, vote. And this was the one that was voted and it didn't disappoint. So
awesome.
That was fun.
Great. Now it says it takes about 45 minutes to play. Is that accurate, would you say? Or do you get done faster?
I don't think it takes that long, but it kind of depends on who you're playing with. If they're like, and they're hesitating on playing, like, I think we played it twice in 45 minutes with 3.
Oh, wow.
It was a 3-player setup. And we were just like, you just go and play. And yeah, it is a fun one.
Nice. Sometimes those ones that you don't really have to think about are fun because you can be very social.
Yes.
It, and that ends up being a lot of fun. I kind of dig the little cover of it, right? Like it's sort of,
it's like a flea market, like
flea market, medieval. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Ren Fairy.
Yeah.
I think he did pretty good. I mean, I don't have that kind of luck of randomly picking a game and having it be a 7.8 on Board Game Geek. Usually I go, man, I'm so excited about this game. I go on Board Game Geek and it's rated like 4.2, and I'm like, oh, it's not going to be fun. What? What? It looks so great.
Yeah,
it's fun to 4.2 people out of 10.
Exactly. Somebody liked it. And I have enough confirmation bias. I've spent the money. It must be good.
That's right. It's got to be good.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. And the last one that you played, what looks like it was The Finest Fish.
It was. So I played it for the first time last night, and I have my oldest as a teenager, and it takes a lot to get her to come play a game where I have to be like, now remember, we drove you here, here, and here for your friends. Like, you can come spend some time with us. So I showed her this one and I said, look at how cool this is. Like the fish components in it, like they're just these giant fish that are like really good, thick cardboard, like, but so cute. And she was like, okay, I'll play just for that. Like, and it's so like it's just a simple pattern game, and the scales are little wooden pieces, and you have to piece them in, and you have to like try to create patterns for points, and then colors grouped together for points, and the black scales are points. And so it's just a really fun, like cute game that like caught the attention of my 15-year-old, my husband, and my 11-year-old.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah,
So-
and here's a picture of those nice big cardboard fish, right? So
Yeah.
what a cool game board, right? Is an actual fish.
Yeah.
Like that's your game board, right?
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Well,
And-
my husband's like, I don't know if I like it. It doesn't have like a nice layout game plan. And I'm like, whatever, look at these fish. Like the first player token is a nice wooden fish. Like it's no, not the first player token. That one's just a little cardboard too. But there's a little wooden fish that does your markers. Like the fish bowl. Like it's so simple and so cute that I loved it. And my daughter's like, I would play that again. I'm like, it's a win. We'll take it.
That is a win. You know, there's something to be said about components making the game. In fact, we did a podcast about that a little while ago, how like your components really affect your experience with the games that you play. You know, like if this had just been little tiny like cardboard chits or whatever, instead of like, you know, wood pieces for some of these things, like it would have been okay, but you know, that probably made it better than it was, right? So
well, and my biggest fear was the scales. Like, were they going to stay in place? Am I going to be constantly trying to adjust them to fit them in? But they did a really good job of making the scales fit perfectly, and you're not constantly having to adjust them or worry about them wiggling out of place or falling over or whatever. Like, they really did a good job on all of it as far as like the texture, the thickness, everything.
Again, Allie, this weight is you're going backwards, by the
I
way.
really am. I didn't even pay attention.
Star Wars was 2.1, right? The Quedlinburg was 1.95, and now we're at 1.0 out of 5 with complications.
I feel like I need to find one more game that's a little bit harder in the weight. I promise I play heavier games.
Well, here we are. This is a 7.3 rating on Board Games Geek, right? Like you're playing all the games that are like 7 and above. So
but easy to learn. You know, it's like a win-win there.
Yeah.
Well, and it's very difficult to find a game with custom wooden pieces like that's affordable. I'm sure all those little individually painted pieces of wood are what's driving the price of the game. I'm looking at an online retailer price link on Board Game Geek for about $49.95. Makes total sense. I mean, to be able to make all of those teeny tiny perfect little scales, have them not only be painted once but painted twice because they have an image.
Yeah, some of them have little details on them as well. Yeah.
So that ain't cheap. There's some kind of magic machine in China punching those out, or somewhere in Europe for all I know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You know, so someone making wooden shoes in one room and finest fish in the other scales. But it's really it's very charming. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
Now, Allie, did you win the coveted Best in Show award at the National Goldfish Competition?
Is that
that's what it says. Fish keeping is a competitive hobby.
I actually did win.
Wants to win the coveted Best in Show award.
I did. I won by 3 points. Each of the pattern cards are 3 points. And my son was collecting those like no other. And so the nice mom that I am at the end, I was like, I need to see all the patterns. And he had one that he thought was there and it wasn't. And if he would have had it, he would have beat me. But I won. Yeah.
There you go. And
That's
you know what?
You're
a nice mom for making sure that he stays
I know.
honest.
It's true.
And attention to detail.
Yeah.
Right. Well, these sound like really fun games, and you know, these aren't ones that I think I would normally gravitate. Maybe the Star Wars deck building one, but the Quacks of Quedlinburg and the Finest Fish, like these aren't ones that I would normally gravitate towards.
Yeah.
But saying that, I'm also accused within my family of, Dad, your games are too complicated, right? And so maybe I need to get some of these games because like I'm getting outvoted within my family of the kind of games that I like to play. So maybe somebody needs some.
We can pick from 2 of my games. One of them, Finest Fish. The other one, Twilight Imperium. What do you guys want to do? Which one?
This is easy.
For 30 to 60 minutes, 30 to 60 hours. Like,
I want my life back. Finest fish, no problem.
Exactly. Well, Allie, thank you so much for sharing those games with us. Like, always great. And if everyone's interested in them, go check them out. You can find them on Board Game Geek, but also your local gaming stores and or Amazon if you can't find them there. So very, very, very good. Well, let's talk about something that we sort of had mentioned, I think about a month ago. Dan, you had brought up a topic of trying to find time in gaming. And Allie, given your activity on your Instagram and what you do with gaming and all the stuff like that, we thought you'd be the perfect guest to come on here and teach us what we're doing wrong, because I don't have an Instagram nearly as active as you are with the games that I play. So, but I think before we get into the solutions of it, sometimes it helps to diagnose what kind of issues may pop up, that prevent us from gaming. So if either of you two have thoughts on that, I'd be interested in hearing it.
Well, Justin, I think you pointed one out when you were like, my kids don't want to play the games that I want to play. So I think whenever we're like, hey, who wants to play a board game? I think a lot of them are like, oh, because they think that we're going to end up making them play, a game that's going to make them sit down for an hour and a half. And so they hesitate a little bit more in committing to playing a game because they're like, I don't know what game you're going to make me play.
Yeah.
It's like,
I get that all the time.
This better not suck.
I mean, well, and it's not even that. It's like, I would rather be playing Xbox with my friends right now, right? And so, like, it better be a game that is worth my attention. I think where I get that, and a game that I really enjoy playing that takes 3, 4, 5 hours, and I'm totally okay with that, because my friends who like to play those with me are okay with that. My kids, I don't think have the appetite or the attention span at this point in their lives to sit down and play a game that's going to last 3, 4, or 5 hours. And concentrate on it. So something that's 30 to 60 minutes, something that's, takes like maybe 45 minutes to play. I think that's an important thing, is like making sure that, that the time that it takes isn't going to exceed their attention span, right? With family and stuff like that. So yeah, for sure. What do you think, Dan? What's preventing us from playing more games?
Well, there's buy-in, and I think game selection is probably, if you're trying to play with your family, as a bonding activity, and you have a wide range of ages. So my youngest is 10, my oldest is 18, and she's on her way off to college soon. I think we did like poor game selection. You can't see it on camera. I built a custom game table. It has leather pads for your elbows. It has cubbies. It has lights. It's way overbuilt. I have nice cushy chairs down here. I have dedicated space. And we got out a game we thought we were going to love, but we decided to try it out with the kids at that time, and we didn't really know the rules. And it turned out the game wasn't that good, and it was kind of a frustrating game. And it was Disney's Jungle Cruise. And it was like and we love Disney. We're Disney files. It's like, if we go to Disney, any of the parks that have a Jungle Cruise, we're gonna go on it. We love it. But the game didn't have the same. It was tricky, and we had to keep stopping the game and rereading the rules, and some of the things didn't make sense. It's by Ravensburger, and they make great stuff. I like Ravensburger a lot, but it was such a dud. My family's not come down here to the man cave to play a board game. I don't know. It's been a good year, maybe a year and a half, maybe 2, and I blame myself. So game selection matters. The time matters, and it's got
knowing the game matters.
Knowing the game and figuring out a game that's going to be fun, not just like, well, this is ticking boxes. We all like Disneyland, therefore a Disneyland board game must be fun. Well, that's not always true. And of course, for me, it's a huge waste of time to be like struggling to figure out a game, and your kids are like, you're torturing us because you keep jumping in and out of the rule book. So I've done it badly. I've failed miserably. So the game room is more like for guys playing role-playing games and war games down here more than anything else. Than it was originally pitched as that this will be a family game space like a pool table. That has not come to full fruition nearly as much as I thought it would. So
Yeah,
I don't know if that diagnoses the problem or
Yeah.
not, but when it comes to time, there's barriers to buy-in, and there's barriers to compatible interests. I think those are two problems that I can see.
So I think yeah, to sort of build on that, I have two different problems, and this is kind of where I'm at. My time is pulled into two major areas, right? Like if I discount work and stuff like that, my personal time is pulled into two major areas, which is family time and then friends time, right? Like family time includes everything from me coaching my son's rugby team to, taking the kids to church and all that stuff. But also the time that we spend together, like either we're watching a movie or we're playing a game or we're, taking a walk outside. And then I got my friends time where I get to play games with them too. And so it depends on the audience here, I think, right? Like finding time for friends and matching up schedules is a hard thing in itself, right? And that's probably another topic that we could talk about in just a minute. But time with the family, like there's so little of it. It's like you want to sort of maximize it. And so board games are a great way to maximize it. But as we said, sometimes the audience isn't always, into the board games or something like that. But even just finding the right time. I mean, like just going through my schedule that I look at, I've got Monday night and Wednesday night practice. I've got Tuesday night church activities. I've got Friday night date night. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like Saturday, the kids are usually like one of the kids is usually off doing something. Thursday night, it's like Thursday night, my youngest has an art class. Sunday night, like maybe that's
Clearly
it.
date night is the one thing that should just go.
Right.
I'm kidding. I'm joking. Allie, you didn't hear me say that. I'm joking.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's like I look at our family schedule, right? And I'm like, okay, well, when do we actually get together and do this? Because, our lives are kind of crazy schedule wise. I have a 16-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 10-year-old. And so now they're really in activities that are multiple days a week. It's not just like a once a week class or something that they're in. They're, in practice 4 nights, 5 nights a week, stuff like that for sports. And so finding that time, I think is really hard and precious. And it's like, well, do we watch a movie or do we play a board game, or something like that? And so I think in the small amount of time that we have with family stuff, then it's competing interest, right there. And then on top of all of that right there, then to say like, hey, I want to get together with my friends and play a game. Well, then that takes some heroic scheduling sometimes too, right? Because I may have a free night on Thursday night, but my friend may not have a free night on Thursday night, and so then we have to figure out what, my friend named Dan Pomeroy doesn't have a free night on Thursday night to play a game, and so,
nope, I don't.
And so, it's sometimes scheduling, I think, is really hard and prevents you from playing games as often as you would like to, so I think the evidence of that happened during COVID, actually, when the shutdown happened. Man, I was playing a lot of games, because it's like, well, we have time to do all this stuff and we don't have sports and, like all these activities that we have to do. And so we were playing a lot of games and we kind of got away from that because we got overscheduled. So, yeah.
Well, we can't solve it all at once. What are some tips, Allie?
Exactly. So how do we get out of this?
Give us some tips, and you don't have to magic wand solve all of our problems, but
right.
What's
one thing
that works
for us? Like as far as the friends one go, we've probably had a board gaming group for about 4 years now, and they know that it's the second Friday of the month, and I have just a private Facebook group that I put out there, like, who's coming, and I usually remind them the day before. I don't bring it up, or the day of. I don't bring it up any sooner than that because I feel like then it becomes chaotic. So I always do that, like just a smidge reminder, but they know that it's going to be the second Friday of the month, and it's just on our calendar, and that's just how it is.
Yeah. And how many people do you invite over?
We can get anywhere from 8 to 12 people or like 6 couples come over. It's a hit or miss on each month, but the past couple months, like we've tried just going out to do an escape room, like break it up a little bit. So that's been fun. But that's my biggest thing, that when you asked me, I was like, well, the one thing we did for sure is we were like, hey, this is the day we're going to do it. And if you can't make it, then we'll see you next month, you know? And so that's the biggest thing for us. As far as with friends, we just have a set time, and then they can adjust their schedule accordingly, or they just can't make it that month. Or if they can't make it, sometimes we'll be like, well, we're going to be home this night if you want to come on over. Like our date nights sometimes become couple activities instead of just going out individually. So, so that's one that I like thought of, or, you know, that works for us, is having the Facebook group. So it's one way to communicate as well, and sending out a little reminder, because we don't always remember everything all the time. So
yeah. We did that too. I think Justin and his wife came over to our house a few times.
Yeah, a few times.
And I was in a small townhouse with a teeny tiny basement. We still figured out a way to cram so many people down there. I don't know how we did it. We have a lot more space now, but one of the problems I kept running into was, because we didn't really have space for 2 tables down there, I kept worrying about games that could accommodate a certain number of players.
Yeah.
And I was like, so we got to play Battle Stations because it looks like 12 people are down here, and that we could do that. Or Cash and Guns, you know, which could accommodate a large group. Secret Hitler, a few of those that are like that. But we couldn't like get into the bespoke, you know, nice kind of really in-depth board games with 4 players. That would be for something else. But yeah, that is a really good tip.
He's always wants to do the smaller, longer games. And I'm like, well, that's not the audience we have right now. He jokes that it's now like hangout night instead of game night, but we usually try to get in some type of game at some point with it. But yeah, so I'm like, if we want to have separate ones, then you got to just individually invite them and have it at a different time.
So one of my things that my wife knows this too, and this is absolutely no offense to Dan and his game nights, because we had a good time down there. But I will say this. That the party games that you play, like, they get super old for me. Like I want more like strategic thought behind it. And you know, like some of the party games are pretty light on strategic value and more light or more heavy on the fun and laughs, right? Which, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of fun. But if that's my like complete game diet, then I feel like it's, you know, I'm drinking soda all the time and I need some meat.
Right.
You know?
Well, we always we say it starts at 8:30, and those who want to come and play like those type of games come at 8:30, and those who want to play the party games, they usually come around 9:30, 10.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So
cool.
that also works. So we always know who wants to come and play like one of the games we've got, you know, or new one or something. They'll come and come a little early and play with us. And then those who just want to come hang out or want to do one of the, like, those type of games, they come later.
That's actually not a bad idea. Yeah, that's pretty good. So, but it sounds like you need a game that lasts about an hour, not 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's where the finest fish comes in.
Exactly.
Well, we've done that too. I've got a buddy who lives a couple doors down from me. He's in our gaming group, and he'll invite a lot of people to the game, and we won't even know. We don't even know how many people are showing up. And Jason, who's also on the podcast, he'll bring a bag of games, and he'll have a lot of short games, like 15, 20, 30-minute games. And that we'll just play 1 or 2 of those. And then when we realize, okay, we really have 4 or 5 players tonight, let's just pick and go, and we won't worry about the no-shows. That has worked out pretty well. The other thing is that I've discovered recently is when you have somebody who's a pal and you both have a passion for one game. So my buddy down a couple doors down and I really like Star Wars Outer Rim, like too much. We like way too much. You know, I have a Star Wars problem. And so we'd be like, so why don't you just come over and we'll just play Outer Rim? Okay, that sounds great. And what I've discovered for me is for my brain, I know I'm having fun at a game where I can't feel time passing the same way.
Yeah.
It's like when I lose all track of time and it's like, oh crap, we've been doing this for 4.5 hours. And I'm like, oh, that didn't feel like 4.5 hours. It felt like 2.
Those are
That
my
means
favorite.
that means I was in it. I was
Yeah.
in it, And so that means number one, you have to have those games, people that want to play those games, and to not tick off other people in your life when you hit hour 3 and they're like, "What's the matter with you? You've been down there too long." So yeah. So yeah, I think having a partner in crime sometimes is really good, especially if playing games mano a mano in a marriage sometimes doesn't always pan out. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So I've gotten into a lot of things that she's into, like I've played Flux and a bunch of other things. If she's interested in something, I usually play it. So yeah, Taco Cat cheese pizza.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you, Allie. So, do you play games with just your husband often, or do you try to loop in a kid or two, or like how do you we talked about schedules sometimes being really crazy, and getting the whole family together to play a game might be a little tricky. But do you try to like maybe find those moments where maybe one person's out and you can grab the other people and play a quick game or something like that?
Yeah, usually if we notice like there's some downtime in the evenings and, one kid's out playing and we're just kind of sitting around, then we'll be like, who wants to play a board game? And usually we can lure my boys down with like a Minecraft themed, Transformer themed, like, Star Wars theme. Like they'll jump on those ones. It's my oldest that we struggle the most with board games. But we've told her that, like you're getting older, you're going to be moving out. This is the time that you get to spend with the family. And she's like, yeah, you're right. So we've kind of gotten to the point where it's just like whoever's available. I will play most of my games with my husband and probably my 11-year-old. He's probably our most engaged board gamer. And my 8-year-old will jump in depending on the theme. Like for his birthday, he got the Transformers building game or deck building game. And I don't think he really understood the whole concept of it, but because it was Transformers, he was all in and he was committed for the whole game. And half the time I was like, I don't get this. Like, I think we need to go back to the rules, but we just kept going with it because he was enjoying it. But yeah, so really we just like whoever's around in the moment and wants to play a board game, we kind of jump on that chance. We try to make a goal of at least on Saturdays being able to play at least one game. If we get one game in, we'll look at it as an accomplishment. If we go over, we do Sunday dinners a lot of times over at my in-laws, and we'll always take 3 or 4 games in hopes of getting one to the table. And then we've tried to make Monday nights our game night, like where we're just like, come sit down, play a game. So we just try to like think of the times where we have the downtime or we're just all sitting around and just kind of jump on like, who wants to play a board game? And if they don't want to, that's great. And if they do, then we'll jump at that chance.
So I think Allie unlocked the secret for us, Dan. Set a goal, play one game on Saturday. Set a goal, play one game on Sunday. Set a goal, play at least one game on Monday.
You got it.
And there was a monthly Friday in there too. That was
right, exactly. Exactly. So no, it just it's so funny because I'm just like, my schedule's crazy and all this stuff. And now he's like, yeah, just play a game on Saturday. Just play a game on Sunday. Just play a game on Monday. And
I am more of like, we have this, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do. And where my husband's like, well, let's like go play a board game. And I'm like, but we have so much we have to do. I'm like, okay, we can probably take a step back and just do a board game. The other thing that I try to do with our kids is like, they take turns picking which game. So that they know that it's not just mom or dad who's going to be picking the game, that they'll get a chance to, whether like, I don't know if you've ever done like the little popsicle sticks with the name on it. They're like color coded. So you draw it, it's your turn. And then you flip it, you've had your turn. We try to do something. We don't have that, but like we just, okay, whose turn was it last time? It's now your turn. And we like youngest to oldest. And so they have to still play games that they don't like and pick games that they do like, but it just kind of keeps us together and we're supporting each other in our interests.
That's great. I think you mentioned the younger kids like the genre games, and I love genre games too. I'm a sucker for them big time. Sometimes it's harder for me to wrap my brain around a new IP that's built into a game. But I've noticed with my 10-year-old that my miniature painting hobby can really add to his engagement in a game. So for instance, for Christmas, I got him the Dragon Prince board game, and it's really just a combat skirmish game. and it's from Netflix series, The Dragon Prince. But I painted all the minis. So I injected painting the minis of his games into my painting life. And so now his minis look cool, and he can tell me if I got the paint, the uniforms right or not. So I painted all of his Marvel United. He's taken his Marvel United to school on their, end of 4th grade board gaming day.
Oh, you're a
cool
guy. You're
like, got the games. Well, and that's the thing. It's kind of like, I like Marvel United. It's fun, but it's way more interesting for me to sit down and miniature paint. And I think that's one way that the kind of the wargaming hobby has kind of seeped into the board gaming hobby in like a really good way. In fact, I was painting board game pieces before I got into wargaming pieces. And the wargaming pieces is a pretty deep well to get stuck into. You're like, I'm never going to find my way out. But
I don't want to find my way out.
Exactly. But board games are different. It's a fixed thing. It's unless it has expansions, and a lot of them do. You open up the pieces and you go, these minis would look beautiful if they're painted. So I think that's one thing that I've done just to get more buy-in and more engagement in what we play at home.
So do you let your son paint as well, or do you just paint him?
I paint him because I'm really uptight.
Well, that's where I would be too. But I'm like, I wonder if I let my kids like go and paint some of the things, if that would get them more wanting or willing to play more. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's fine. If he wants to get like the Loki expansion for Marvel United, say, Dad, I want to paint these. I underestimate him too, because we took him to KublaCon, and there was this awesome kids room there he was there for 2 days, loved every minute of it. And they had miniature painting. They brought minis for all the kids to paint. And his turned out awesome. And I'm like, maybe you're better at this than I thought you were.
And that's why you're not letting him paint them.
Exactly. And he's like, Dad, I want you to prime this mini I painted at KublaCon because I don't think I did a good enough job. I'm like, so now I got to prime it so he can paint it again. So I think, that's just been one way that he and I have connected.
Right.
And it's good. And there's something magical about getting the uniforms right on those kind of Marvel characters, or Dragon Prince was super hard, man. They have these small minis, and all of their uniforms have very meticulous gold piping that they put in the mini. And I was like 0.001 brush doing gold piping. And then he would say, well, that one looks a little wrong. I'd be like, it's fine. It's good enough. It's really good enough, buddy. It's going to be fine. It looks, you get the idea. You get the idea. So,
yeah.
Anyway,
so one thing I wanted to ask Ali is, in being able to play games more regularly, how important is it to have a variety of games with a variety of game lengths? Right, like I'm staring at your wall of games that you have behind you, which I think is just a fraction.
And we know there's like 4 more walls.
Yeah, there's like a lot more walls there.
True.
But I'm looking at your your games and the variety that you have, and even the variety of the ones that you have talked about on the show today. And I see ones that are 45 minutes long. I see one that are like 3 to 5 hours long. I see one that are like 1 to 2 people. I see some that are like 4 to 6 players. I see some that are, different IP themes, some that are, like unique IPs, like a lot of different variety in the games that you guys have. And how important is it, do you think, to have a variety in the games to be able to play as often as you do?
I think it's a huge thing to have a variety. Not only just because it mixes up your gameplay, but I think it's really good for anybody in general to learn different mechanics of different games. I think it's been great, like for my kids, as far as like their math ability. Like my 8-year-old, we could be like, what's 18 plus 17? What's, and he can get it quicker. And I think that has a lot to do with playing the board games. But I think that if you buy or are interested in only one specific gameplay, that I think that you're going to lose your audience quicker. That when you throw in other mechanics and other ways of playing games, that they're going to come back because they're going to be like, oh, I want to know more, or I want to do something different. And so I think it's that's why I love it mostly, is because of the variety. We got asked earlier today what our favorite board game was. And I was like, I can't answer that question. Like, do you want my favorite co-op game? Do you want my favorite deck building game? Do you want my favorite 2-player game? Like, I can't tell you that. That's like one of the hardest questions when I get asked. I'm like, can I tell you like 20 of them? Like,
yeah.
Right.
And you could pick a favorite kid in about 2 seconds. I know which one of my children is my favorite, but don't ask me for the game.
No, and it's like based on mood and like, it's like there's just so much to it.
Yeah, I thought about that question because when you're saying like, oh, let's play a board game on Saturday and on Sunday and on Monday. I mean, that's not possible if you're playing Twilight Imperium every day.
Oh yeah, no.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's just not or like Axis and Allies. You know what I mean? Like that's just not possible to be playing. Though maybe it's the same game each of those days, but you're not going to be playing a different game with most of your family, some of your family, just you or your husband, that type of thing. If you don't have that variety of games. And so, maybe another topic that we'll have to have you on is like, how do you acquire games over time? I mean, because like,
oh, my credit card knows I'm more interested in her storage than I am the how.
And
or
so,
how you pick is really the question. How do you pick? How do you know what not to buy? I think is a really fascinating. I know we're kind of late on time here, but that's how do you be a discerning connoisseur of games?
Yeah, that's a good topic for another time, for sure. Yeah, I mean, because there's a rabbit hole of information in that one. I mean, so to sort of sum up of where we've got, right? Like, one, you need a schedule. Like you really need to schedule time and set time aside, right? And I think that if you are with your family, part of that is and maybe it's just when I say family, it could be husband, wife, and kids, and all that stuff. It could be boyfriend, girlfriend. It could be what I mean. Like, but when you're there with your close knit people, right? That you need to like schedule time. Like that's one of the keys. So saying like at this time we plan to do this. If my wife tells me all the time, if it's not on the calendar, it's not going to happen. And I am the worst person about putting stuff on the calendar. Like she's like, "Aren't you leaving for Gen Con tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's not on the calendar." I'm like, "It is now." So but I mean, like if it's not on the calendar, it's not going to happen, right? And I think that's true for busy families, busy people, busy husbands, busy wives, busy busy everybody. If you don't schedule the time, then it's not going to happen. I think I don't know if you would call it this, Allie, but I think that you are setting gaming goals. Like of saying like, hey, let's try to at least get a board game in on Sunday night if we can.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a gaming goal. Like it's not just going to happen willy nilly, right? Like you've got a time, you got a thing, you got, what I mean? Like you got the who,
and
what,
if
where,
the game gets done early and we're like, well, we have nothing else to do, then we'll try to grab another game and, go again.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, scheduling, setting goals, right? Finding opportunities where you can with so you like, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. If you can get 3 out of your 4 family members to sit around and play a board game, take it, right? Mm-hmm. Rather than just like making sure that everybody's there, because that's going to rarely happen in our busy lives, right? And again, like scheduling with friends, like just having that recurring time, I think is crucial. I love the idea of varying your game types and gameplay. I think that's kind of the hidden gem of this discussion, because I think a lot of people know, like, okay, I got to schedule time. If I don't schedule it, it's not going to happen. But having a variety of games, I think, is sort of the hidden gem that we pulled out of here, because that allows you to play games in moments that you may not think that you have time to play a quick game. So that's really one of the keys there. So did I miss any of them, or did I hit all of them?
I think you did good. I think mostly like recognizing when you have your downtime. If you're sitting on your phone or like, looking to go to the fridge to eat because you're bored, that's what I do. Recognize that and be like, maybe I should go do something else instead. Let's go find a game to play.
That's
now,
great.
do you play any solo games, Allie?
I honestly have never played a solo game.
Really? Okay.
I am a social, I like board games for the social part of it.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I could just sit down and play one.
I think you're tapping into something here, Allie. I think this is really smart. I think because in the old days there was 6 TV channels if you were lucky, and everybody would have to compromise on finding a thing to watch on TV as there was one in the house. And now with screens and streaming, if you want to watch something that's even slightly not interesting to another member of the family, everybody just scatters. They're like, I'm just going to do my thing in the kitchen and I'm going to do my thing in my room. But what the board game forces you to do is you have to come together, talk to each other, and turn that into fun and a fun memory.
Yeah.
If you can break, and I applaud you, Allie, because you appear to be succeeding in ways that Justin and I have been failing. We start failing, and then we're like, I'm just going to go to the basement and paint minis by myself, which is true. So I just think that's great, and I just applaud you. I think I'm a huge fan of what you're doing. So.
Yeah, I think one of my gaming New Year's resolutions on the podcast was to play more games with the family, like do it at least once a month. I'm not doing great at that. I think of the 6 months that we've had, I've done 2 out of the 6, and so maybe I can make up. Maybe I've got my half year's resolution is to, still hit the 12 times, that I play a board game with my family. Now I play with my friends and stuff like that. So I don't, it's not playing games, it's playing with the family, right?
It's real easy, Justin. Just cancel that date night. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. So the problem is well, if I cancel that date night, my kids aren't home. Like they're not home. Like they're out with their friends doing stuff now, because they're a little bit older and all that. And so even if I cancel date night, like I still wouldn't get them together. So
I keep suggesting putting the spouse in the back seat. It's a joke for our listeners and friends. I'm just kidding, especially for my friends who listen to this podcast and know my spouse. I'm just joking.
So yeah, but honestly, I think the thing that I'm taking away from this podcast is I need to buy some more board games.
Yeah.
Like honest.
That's what Allie does. That's what Allie's doing.
Exactly. I need to buy some more board games and let them, be like, hey, is this an interesting one? And, like some that only take an hour to play and stuff like that. Now, I will say this. At Christmas time, Miniature Market has like some unbelievable sales like over the holidays and stuff like that. I picked up a game called Pact. It's a card game. And I got it for $5 on Miniature Market. And here, let me see if I can pull it up, actually.
I think I played this with Jay. Maybe I didn't.
It's like a little goblin game.
No,
yeah, this is
I'm
it
thinking
right
of something else.
This is it right here. Pact. Don't let this 6.6 fool you. Like, I think it's better than that. It's a game where you are you've got these like mission cards where you have like, patterns that you have to do. And each goblin is a pattern in itself. And let me see if I can pull up.
Justin, weren't we wrapping up? What happened?
I know. I got distracted.
What happened?
So you can see right here, like, these mission cards that you have to have like 3 little green guys. And this is a green guy right here. Right. And like 2 little orange guys, and that's like, or yellow guys. And there's some yellow guys over there. And what can happen is you lay down cards in front of you that you're going to use to fulfill these missions. But your person next to you can form a pact with you and use some of your cards to finish it. And then you both split the points. And so you want to try to do your own because you get way more points if you do your own. But you can get extra points if you like finish your buddies, And so it's a great little game. But like this is one of those that it's like I picked it up for $5. We played it once and tried to learn the rules, and my wife and daughter were like, this isn't that fun. But then we played it again after we knew the rules, and they're both like, okay, it's growing on me now, and we actually like it, right? So I need to get more of these games.
Was the point that you should pick up extra games when they're on sale, even if they may not be kind of in the top 10 of everybody on BGG, or are you saying it's okay to try out a game if it's cheap and give it a whirl, and if it sucks that you don't have as much skin in the game? Is that what you're?
It's also good to just don't play a game one time. Like if I would have gone off of the Star Wars deck building and been like, that really put a bad taste in my mouth, I'm done, I wouldn't have gone back to it. Same, so I think like if you don't like it the first time, give it a couple more times just to make sure before you're like, I'm out. Like, I don't like it. Because you're saying your wife and your daughter love it now or enjoy playing it, right?
Yeah. You know, my daughter was like, "Hey, I want to play that again." Right? My 16-year-old, she's like, "Hey, I want to play that again," and I'm like, "What? Like,
Okay.
what's happening here?"
That's where you drop everything and you go.
That's right.
Like now, okay, let's go.
Exactly.
That was me on Super Fantasy Brawl in the demo at Mythic Games. I wanted to rage quit the demo. I'm like, I'm done playing this game with you, guy who works. I bought the game. I've almost every expansion, and I painted the minis, and I love it now. Now I love it. The game was good, and I had to like play it the second time.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know.
So listen, all great stuff. Allie, thank you for coming on the show and imparting your wisdom with us and your experience of how you find excellent time for gaming, and may all of our listeners also, you know, take Allie's knowledge and apply it in their lives and play as many games as she does on a regular basis, because it's awesome. You know, I mean, like, these board games are a lot of fun. We really are living in a golden age of board games. You know, because when we were all growing up, it was Monopoly and Sorry and Parcheesi. You know, you're like, oh,
it's a bad
terrible game. You know, so, but now we live in a golden age where, like, there's so many different things and mechanics, and the components are great, the board's great, right? The art is great, and it's really fun and engaging. And so now's a great time to, as you said, instead of finding that downtime where you're scrolling through your phone, you know, get together with your family, get together with your friends, and start playing some more board games and be social again. So we appreciate it so much, Allie. Do you have any parting thoughts for us? Any pearls of wisdom?
No, I'm just, thanks for having me, and it was fun.
Yeah, love having you on here with us. So, and we've already like noodled out our next topic, right? Is like, how do you judiciously buy board games? As we look at your wall of board games behind you, you know,
there's a little bit of gamer. It's like, well, if she would lean to the first, okay, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, those look awesome.
To pick it up and move it.
Well, you are on Insta as _gamer_babe. Is that correct?
_babe, right?
Underscore between gamer and babe.
Underscore between gamer and babe. I apologize. And so people follow Allie on Insta. It's great.
Yep. And we will put her Instagram in the description. So click on that and go check it out. She's got great content. And I'm always like, oh, wow, that looks really cool. Because every time I see something from you, Allie, I'm like, oh, wow, that looks really cool. And you do fun little stuff like, hey, what game am I playing? You know, and I'm like, I don't know. I've never seen that game before.
I'm like, don't tell me any more of the game. Yeah, I got to take a picture. That's my favorite. Like, I like to see what people know. Like, it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. So please follow her and check her out. And Allie, again, you're always welcome on the show. We love having you here with us. So
thank you
so much. Everybody else, thank you so much for listening to us, and we appreciate you. If you want to stay connected with us, join us in our Discord that is also in the chat below. And we'll see you all at the tables. Have a good night, everybody.